Markets in Hong Kong. Dariusz, always good to see you. Let's first take stock of the amount of foreign funds in Taiwan. $15.5 billion in dollar accounts, 5 times more than what's considered acceptable by the central bank. This is a huge problem, isn't it?
It's an issue for the central bank because they really want to sustain the competitiveness of the country's exporters and engineer a more lasting recovery. And for that, they definitely do not want the currency to appreciate. So those inflows, massive inflows of foreign speculative capital are making their job more difficult. They have to intervene more. That's why the currency reserves of Taiwan increased by $50 billion so far this year. But this is not the problem of Taiwan only. All currencies in the region are witnessing massive inflows of foreign capital. All will continue to rise in the near to medium term, and the pace of gains will depend on how aggressive central banks are in preventing the appreciation. So Taiwan is definitely on the aggressive side.
Dariusz, Tricia in Singapore, would you say that the bulk of this problem is actually China and the Chinese yuan? The fact that the Chinese yuan has remained pegged to the dollar makes the rest of Asia currencies actually less competitive, and China has a huge competitive advantage now. So all these problems with FX intervention and capital controls can actually be dealt with if China actually resumes appreciation of the yuan.
This is a very good point. A lot of the economies in the region are indeed competing with China for exports markets, and we all know that China has repegged the renminbi to the dollar because of the crisis. So as long as renminbi is weakening in line with the greenback, all the other countries in the region have to also prevent appreciation of their currencies by intervention. So if China were to change its policy and allow the renminbi to appreciate, then there would be less pressure on Taiwan and others to intervene. But I do not think that China will make a major move anytime soon, because they are just too cautious in the way that they manage their currency regime. And therefore, the accumulation of currency reserves in Asia will continue, exacerbating the global imbalances.
But Dariusz, overnight we actually had the PBOC releasing its quarterly report, where it actually said that it will, its FX policy will now take into account global capital flows in major currencies and changes in major currencies as well. And it also dropped the statement, that bit about maintaining basic stability in the yuan. A lot of people are now saying that that is actually a big signal that China may start resuming appreciation of the yuan as early as January. What do you think? It
clearly is a signal that China is much less concerned with the weakness in their exports. Already in November, we will see positive growth in Chinese exports that is going to then accelerate. So I agree that in the first half of next year, gradual appreciation of renminbi against the greenback will resume. But I don't think it will be January. I believe that the Chinese will try to wait longer to see that the improvement in exports becomes entrenched, and they will move probably in the second quarter of next year, but the move will be gradual. By the end of 2010, I expect renminbi to trade at 6.72 versus the greenback, barely 2% stronger than it is now, and not as much stronger as forwards are anticipating.
Dariusz, always good to have you with us. Dariusz Kowalczyk, CIO at SGS Markets in Hong Kong. We're off for a short break. When we come back, we cross